every mystic that we study and we listen to. We are now in the collective awakening. Not one guru here, one guru there. We are it. We are happening. The grandmothers always said there's only one person on this planet, and that's Gaia, and we are all cells of this one woman awakening. This isn't airy-fairy. I'm talking to my Israelis every day on WhatsApp who are in and out of bunkers all day long. When we're under pressure like we are now, it's because that is the birth canal that's saying, you've got to get this alignment. And we're going to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until you can get it.
Here we are, White Eagle Medicine Woman, another podcast. And I feel like we've been trying to solving the world's problems before we even hit record.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like,
well, they don't need to be solved.
Let's get this
that's
done.
the real clincher.
It just needs to be allowed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What you just said really resonated with me, and it's like, okay, let's start there, because you said emergency and emergence and those words in the same sentence.
Yeah, I think
let's start there. What does that mean to you? Yeah.
You know, we're in the grand stage event of our humanity right now. And this, you know, what seems to be an emergency is the collapse of one world, and a world that we've related to in the third dimension for this fifth dimensional light that's coming in as us. It's not foreign. And we are moving out of intention and into declaration of this new consciousness. And it's not, you know, one of my peace workers, he sponsored me in California for years, and he had this very amazing quote that he would say, "We are rapidly evolving into the here and now." You know, it's like the presence of our divinity taking hold in embodiment. This is the planetary alignment that we are in. Neptune and Saturn conjunct in 0 degrees Aries. Aries, the brand new consciousness. Yeah. Neptune, the dissolution of all false identities, which is raising its head right now to its peak. And I'm not even talking about anybody out there. You know, we think, oh, the Trump, the this, the that, the war. That's the war happening here. That's not happening out there. This is each of us, and it's mirroring our clinging to this last banshee of this lower frequency as we now know who we are and are bridging that eternal, immortal self into this body now.
Question for you on that then, because what's screaming at me is that people will be completely unaware that what the potential of the human body is. Through your line of work, and I've witnessed it as well, so we all kind of know the answer, but the body can adapt to these new frequencies. It's learning. It's like the antennas are coming online. I don't even know how to describe it, but there's an adaptation within ourselves if we allow it to happen, to really embrace those things that you're speaking of.
Well, we're getting to the place, and from what I would call initiation. We're not victims of what's happening. We are initiates. You know, this is the seed cracking out of its shell, or the bird cracking out of its egg. This is that pressure of childbirth when the baby was in a comfortable womb and then gets pushed down that canal, is squeezed down that canal to the light. This is a birthing process that is very strong, but what it is a birth from the 5 senses and what I'm familiar with out here and what I'm identifying with out here to I'm beyond this body, I'm beyond this mind. I am an eternal consciousness. And there's no one out there. You are me, I am you. This reconciliation of polarities is the only way we can ascend. Terry Real wrote this wonderful book on marriage. He's a marriage therapist. From me and you to us. Because us is the field, the environment of consciousness. And in our crystal skull method, we talk about neutralizing polarity in the body, being able to neutralize polarity, because these are the thought forms and the emotional patterning that is getting vibrated to its highest right now, which is all, as we know, based in fear consciousness. And we are being asked to plug into our eternity and to experience it fully and bring it on into this body and this dimension, the fifth dimension, age of Aquarius that we are in, to bring it into that third dimensional density. And it cannot happen if we don't address our bodies, our body consciousness.
What do you mean by neutralizing the polarity then? Can you give us an example? Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, we have duality, okay? Just example, we have relationships. Somebody is the person that is fear of attachment. The other one is fear of abandonment. And in essence, these are the same thing. Underneath it, it's the same. It's just when we learn to embrace both sides, that we actually have both sides. We have the part that's really independent in us, and we have the part that's really attached in us at any given moment. That when we're in polarity, you are this, I don't want that, I'm that. Instead of, I need to have what you have. This is process-oriented psychology. I need to be more independent. You need to be more open and be able to connect more in the heart. But it's both. People have the same. I have my radical independence and I have my need for human attachment. And when we can stop polarizing everything and start realizing that it's a beautiful figure eight and I need some of what you have. If I'm complaining about you and your behavior, it's the behavior that I haven't claimed inside of me. And so there is this beautiful transformation of polarity. Still, there is duality. These are different frequencies of expression, but they are not polarized. They're beautiful, what we work in CSM all the time, figure eight. A movement of infinity from both sides harmonizing. That figure eight is a harmonizer. And that's what I mean by neutralizing. We actually do an exercise where we put two polar opposite things in a relationship or whatever, or when we're working on the brain, because the brain has two hemispheres that we work, the lungs, everything. We work in the lungs and heart. We work in a figure eight because that's how it circulates in the body. So we can do so much literal physical harmonization with that work, with breath and intention. We can take those two opposites and begin to find their neutral ground, which is in a figure eight, of course, is the X in the middle, right? If I could stand here and watch that movement coming back and forth from those two things and how they would harmonize if they were not polarized. Does that make sense? I mean,
it does. And I'm wrapping my head around it. What it's saying to me, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're almost bringing the body into the present moment, into the non-duality, because our body is either living in the future or the past from our wounds, our traumas, our pains. And then that is the lens that we are viewing on. Because like, if you look at what's going on in Australia right now, honestly, like people are talking, we're going to go into the biggest recession ever seen. It's not even going to be a recession, it's a depression. We got the fuel crisis that's happening. You're not going to be able to, like the narratives that are going on. You're just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, and it's all this very three-dimensional vibration, if you like. And it's so tempting to just hook into that and be part of that for people.
Yes, hook into
right?
it, be part of it. It lives in me and it lives in you. There's whatever you're doing in your life, wherever there's that fear, that's really polarizing in you is contributing to that narrative. So it's just feeding that narrative. It is an option. We could go there. It depends upon our attention. Is our attention on emergency or emergence? And what is being asked for us to emerge? We haven't been where we're going yet as a collective. And just like that baby that's coming out and sees the light and starts crying, we have never had that much space. We have never experienced that much of our own light. You know, Marianne Williamson, it's not our darkness we're afraid of, it's our light. And here comes the light of a new consciousness. And present moment consciousness means I am totally in that neutral position, right? I am totally in this neutrality of this space and moment. And I can experience, which is why meditation of any kind right now is essential, to bring our spiritual, immortal self completely aligned to our souls now and our bodies. We can't be living in shortage consciousness and expect abundance. You know, how we do that is little math: intention, I, plus attention equals manifestation, right? So if I put my thought on abundance, my emotions are fear and scarcity, I can't, it doesn't equal abundance, right? If I intend, I want to have more abundance in my life, and then I constantly say what I don't have and fear of not having enough, then I can't manifest abundance. They're not resonant. And it's easy to have an intention, but now we're asked to have a declaration. That's different. That's embodiment. Intention is like, oh, it's like this nice futuristic, I hope I get there. Declaration says, I am that I am now. I'm embodied. I'm holding body. And that means attention. So what because I'm facing a lot of my own personal fears and things going on in my life too. And I'm going, wow, if I don't watch my attention, intention's easy, I pray, I meditate, but my attention all through the day is on what does that go to? Does it go to that, oh, what if this doesn't work? It's my attention. Has to be on my intention. It has to keep fueling it. And that's the friction we're in right now. Your wonderful t-shirt, right? No pressure, no diamond. And my book that's forthcoming, that my daughter on the other side, some of you already know the story that I lost my daughter 4 years ago. Most excruciating initiation I could ask for on the spiritual plane. And her teachings for me have been so essential from emergency to emergence. And this book is called Mother of Pearl, the friction that makes the pearl. And this is the compression of timelines we're in. Yeah, the compression of timelines so that we can come into that rapidly evolving into the here and now. It's kind of an oxymoron joke, right? We can't evolve into the now. So it's like we are rapidly coming into that compression of thought and feeling being aligned. That as soon as we go off, we manifest that. We're going to manifest at such a high level because the frequencies are so much higher. And they are trying to allow us to embody our godhood. And we go, ooh, do I want to embody my godhood? I'm a bit messy. I might start a war when I have a bad feeling, you know, because we are now accountable for a grander parade of things happening. And more people are anchoring into that God consciousness inside themselves. They're meditating, they're holding space for groups. They are, you know, creating what my teacher used to call the Buddha field, you know, creating the field and strengthening that field, which is what we've been doing across the world with these blue flame ceremonies that we ran for 13 years. working on the planetary grid one day a year, all of us, working that energy. And now we get to take that really into our bodies. We really get to carry it all the way through. And this is why we must do the cleansing. We must do the karmic work, ancestral work. This is being asked of us to clear our lineage lines, because we came in with the program in our cells from all of those wars, from all of that patterning that is now at its height. It's at its height in front.
It's wild.
And are we going to jump ship? Are we going to, make that transition down that birth canal that we're in that seems like it's relentless? And there are tools, there are ways to move through this with grace. And that is to be able to cultivate that light in our bodies on command. To cultivate that light in our bodies, not just our words and our feelings, but in the light that is within every cell of our being, and to call it up and to maintain it.
See, this is what I want to scream from the rooftops, right? Because I'm like, I don't know how else to get it out there. Like, I'm doing everything I can, right? Honestly, I truly am. I have a podcast, I hold space, I run events, and I'm just like, when people are ready to step through the door, let's go, But the reason why is because, like, me growing up in the valleys of Wales, like, this would have all been hippy dippy shit. Like I was so closed off to it in some ways, even though there was a deep part of me yearning I couldn't understand or put words to, couldn't express her in any way. I knew there was more, but I didn't, and it was like so freaking confusing. And then you start having, you get into your 30s, you start having, this is me anyway, you start having these shifts and these insights, and all of a sudden you start to get it. And you start to get that embodiment you talk about, when you feel something that's not yours in your cells leave your body, that was inherited or is a trauma or whatever it might be, and you create more space for the light that you're talking about. And then your sensory perception starts to change, and where you place your attention starts to change, because you don't have the internal wars within you so much, because you've been clearing. And all of a sudden your whole world shifts, your whole paradigm shifts. Your shift in perspective changes. That's what A Course in Miracles says. It's a shift in perspective. And you're just like, oh my God, why don't we all know this? Why don't we all know our God-given right, our divine essence of what we are capable of? And if we say yes and go, you know what, I want this. I'm tired of the old. I'm ready to initiate. I'm ready to declare. Mm-hmm. Let's go.
And
do you know,
to me, it doesn't,
it's a bit of a rant,
sounds new agey, or it sounds this or it sounds that. I mean, you can just go to the NASA and see the level of solar flaring that's going on right now. That's the M-class flares that are coming off the sun. And you can say, I'm sorry, but the light is hitting us like big time into our solar system, into our electromagnetic field around the earth, is being pushed with these energies. And we are light, as our essence. There is nothing, go into subatomic particles and quarks, and they say, oh, well, they don't appear unless your attention's on them. So the universe is made of no thing. However you want to understand this process, whether you want to understand it scientifically or spiritually, it's the same. It's the exact same thing. And now, of course, that's converging so beautifully in many methods that are being brought out. And our method, Crystal Skull method, brings neuroanatomy, acupuncture, Ayurveda, brings it all in one place, because it's all connected. And if it's real, it should be connected. And false systems will fall away, and this resonant systems that when acupuncture, 5,000, 12,000 years, Ayurveda, these are eternal methods that bring together our light body as our own birthright to have. And this is why I say it's out of the five senses even. This is you in being able to do, we call it clairsenses, yeah? Clairaudient, clairsentient, all of this is our birthright. right?
Yep.
And at greater things you will do. Raising the dead. There's been this Christian woman in Africa for years. She was raising people from the dead in the name of God. Like, okay, that's
Really?
belief system, but you know, you go to Africa and you meet the possession dancers, you know, the African possession dancers, they can do the same thing. They call it the possessed by spirit. Born again Christians call it singing in tongues. I don't really care because we're possessed by the divine. You know, we're merging with our own divinity that can completely house our bodies just like it did every mystic that we study and we listen to. We are now in the collective awakening. Not one guru here, one guru there. We are it. We are happening. And there's only, the grandmother's always said, there's only one person on this planet. And that's Gaia. And we are all cells of this one woman awakening. And I
Grandmothers.
this is like, how do I completely embody it now? Which means dealing with any conflicts we've had with others, any separation consciousness, any blaming, shaming, manipulating, control over others. This is all part of the matrix of this collapse. And the more we participate in it, the more we're saying, I'm not ready to emerge. And, you know, this isn't airy-fairy. I'm talking to my Israelis every day on WhatsApp who are in and out of bunkers all day long. They're WhatsApping me. My dear sister Noga, 75 years old, going into the bunker and going into meditation. She was able to laugh with me on the phone. This is people under that no pressure, no diamond. This is where it means something. It's really easy if we're all in a Buddha field in a nice workshop, but you know, the Buddha field is everywhere. And when we're under pressure like we are now, it's because that is the birth canal that's saying, you've got to get this alignment. And we're going to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until you can get it. And this is what we've designed for ourselves, is this repetition of the old world collapsing so we can make a choice to emerge. To come out of that polarity and all that lower density emotions and to give our lives to the divine. It's not up to me. It's up to my alignment with my soul and spirit. Call it your essence. I like calling it the light of essence because it's none of these things out here. It's here. And that part is trying to come online deeper into our human consciousness. And some people say this is the humans of Lyra, a planetary system that had more evolved humans than we do. We are the youngest in our system with human life like our own, according to our indigenous people. There are 13 planets, 12 other than ours, that have human life like our own. And we are known as the planet of the children, or the planet of the children of the sun. And that's for us to claim our maturity as being children of the sun. And we're growing up because we're manifesting everything we see out there is part of each and every one of us. It's not like, oh, those politics or those Republicans, or it's all of us. I have that part inside of me. I'm contributing to it every time I go into that with my lover, with my friend, with somebody I don't agree with, and I'm going into that consciousness. And in that polarity, we cannot embody our God consciousness. It's not possible. In duality, we can, but not in polarity. They're different. This is what I'm talking about. I have what You know, you're labeling me this, I'm labeling you that. I have part of what you are, and you have part of what I am. It needs to be harmonized in me and in you, instead of you're this and you're the evil one. It's not going to work. That's just bringing us what we've always had. It's never going to bring us anything but violence, war, and separation. And it's like major attention. But I think for me, what I'm learning is to continually go into my lineage lines and my programming. For me personally, that's what I have. And I know we both teach all over the world and do podcasts and spread this message. But really, you don't have to go anywhere or do anything, but just go in. Grandparents said it, you know, to start this age off. Don't go out, go in. The deeper we can go into that alignment and recapitulate those parts of ourselves that are still trapped in panic, anxiety, fear, blame, shame, manipulation, control. I could put my hand up every time I said those. Could you? That I've worked in those every other day. Like one day I'm here and one day I'm there. And that's all. And it's not even about doing anything about it. It's about neutralizing. And that's done in silence. That's done in silence. So that we can tap that divinity and witness what we're seeing. And ask. There's been many times I feel like I couldn't break my own pattern. And this happened with my daughter. My ex-husband showed up. He's also on the other side, wanting to have reconciliation with me after 32 years. And I thought, oh my God, am I really doing this? My daughter's like, please, Mom, do this for me, you know? And I had this cord to him that was really making difficulty in my heart after all these years. I was doing energy work on medicine. And it's like, I can't do this somehow. I don't know how to open this. And she said to me, you won't be able to do it. You have to ask for it to be done. And I say this for everyone right now. If you're at your edge and you can't seem to break through your brokenness, your blame, your story about someone, something, then you have to call in your divinity. You know, and you may call that as Christ or whoever you relate to as that divinity. The grandmothers and grandfathers I like using because that's very indigenous, and we believe that that's all our guardians, all of our oversoul. We call in the higher beings that can help us do that. And literally, I watched them recapitulate my heart and rewire this cord. I watched them as I laid there crying because I couldn't do it. The human me was still stuck in the stories. And I asked, thy will be done. This is the Christ line, right? The divine will be done through me, in me, as me. So we can call upon that divinity to step in. And the more we work with it energetically, as we do in CSM work that you did, where you pull that light in to yourself as you, it's no longer I'm calling to God out there. I'm calling to my own light to be completely housed, my own divinity to respond and not react. If we're in reaction, we're in the lower chakra, third dimension, polarity again. But if we're responding with presence, so much can happen. And more happens in silence than in speaking.
What was very evident when I had that CSM session, the Crystal Skull Method session with you last week, when you speak to that, of the intentionality around it when we did the prayer, and there's a declaration, and we call it, we're open, and then we're intentionally connecting to the light and the light source, and it just comes on. I mean, is that something, because we're living in this time with with the frequencies that are shifting, that we're all able to connect easier now than, let's say, 20 years ago?
Yes,
That
absolutely.
in this, because those things, because obviously I've done a lot of work on myself over the years, and I've noticed that sensitivity has become much more receptive, where I can close my eyes and just go there, really, to the point where I'd have to meditate for an hour before to even, feel that. And that's what was intriguing me about the session as well, because obviously it was there, but it was like, oh, this is intentional, and this is in. And then it was very structured and directional in terms of what we do with that light to create space to allow more light in,
Yeah, and
if that's a way
for
of
us,
putting
we
it.
did a few things. One is that quickening process. You said, "Oh, I don't have to wait, an hour to get there inside myself." The goal of this time, if there's a goal at all, because it's a really a pathless path right now, is that it's our waking consciousness. We don't even have to close our eyes. We don't have to go anywhere. We're completely embodied in that state and walking around in 3D in this state. This is why Crystal Skull Method is not done lying down. It's not like somebody's doing this energy work and you're laying back and you're going into some dream world. No, you're sitting up and you're participating. You're owning this. This is yours. And in this sequence that we build, that sacred geometry in the brain, the heart, and around the body, we are activating intention. When you said the quickening of intention, remember I said intention plus attention equals manifestation. The quickening process that's happening between our intent and our attention is speeding up in both directions. Negatively, if you have a negative thought, it manifests in your body, you get sick much quicker. Kids are getting cancer. Like, this is what's happening in our age. It's because it's a quickening process due to the higher frequencies. And we helped create that by all of the self-help we've done, since World War II, even. Like, the amount of self-help that burst out of these wars was enormous. Do you see the thing? You could focus on those wars or the birthing of consciousness that's gone on in this stage. Now, with CSM and doing Crystal Skull Method, which once people are trained in it, they can do it themselves, they can work with it themselves constantly, is that we're decalcifying that pineal gland, which is your antenna. It is your connection in communion with the divine. It is outside of time and space. It doesn't rely on the five senses. This is what we're talking about, the sixth sense, the clairaudience, the clairvoyance, the ability to lay hands and raise people from the dead. This is light. This is what's going on in all of these methodologies right now. X39 patches, I'm not here to promote those. All of these different things that are working with light now in the body, this quantum ability, but we don't need any patch, anything. But when we learn CSM, it's like super simple, and we can activate it and we can embody it. This is the key. It's not about the upper chakras only. It's about the entire body being housed with light and being able to move through all of this karma to experience internally peace on earth. It's not about what's happening out there. That's another story. What's happening in here is the evolution. Everything else will show itself in time. We're working on the inner. We think we're working on the outer, the wars, the this out there. We're not. We're working here. And that's why it looks ugly at different times. It's because we are getting pressurized to move. And it's very motivating, don't you think?
I've never been so motivated in my life,
It's
right, as of
motivating
right
us.
now. Like, it's such an adventure. This is the thing. It's like
This is the big
you
event.
get to it. But even in my own journey in a world, it's like a never-ending game of Donkey Kong or something. You go through, you jump over, you go over the challenges, and then there's more, and then there's more, and then there's more. And even, you know, from what I've been practicing and doing, and then having the session with you last week, it was like, holy shit, this is such a different way of looking at it, and I could feel the beams of light when we were intentionally going through the brain, and my brain would light up. Like it's like everything's going golden and white here, like instantaneously as we breathe, and then we expand it. But it wasn't, I've been a bit more scattered gun in the past of just bringing it in and opening it up, where this felt like it was actively starting to work on certain things, like the one you did through the mouth to the back of the head, and the voice and the channeling. Like there were things opening up, but I've never been able to, in myself, get to that specific point. I go, okay, that's doing that. Where before it was just a scattergun approach, and you know, when I hold space, presence and support comes in, and sometimes uses the voice and things. But when working like that, it was, I don't know, it was like getting the fine things out and being able to really be specific in how you come online.
Yes.
Yeah,
And this,
yeah, it's been sitting with me all week.
that's so important because it's not just about bringing on more power, but it's the directing of that
That's
power
right.
properly,
Mm.
right? We've
Yeah,
seen
exactly.
the sorcerers of our world who had enormous spiritual power and misused it. So the whole training of CSM is to allow you to open it and focus it appropriately as God. You know, we see the beams coming out of all the saints and Christ and all of these people in the chapels with these beautiful stained glass with the halo and the beams coming out. That's our birthright. That radiance of that dimension is our birthright, and we can cultivate it. And the wonderful thing about this tiny little gland in the brain is that it's the gland of intention. If you ever just Google sometime and go to YouTube, and you'll find, you know, images of the fetus and when the pineal gland comes online at 48 days, it's a little light bulb. It's a little light in the top of the head. This big bulbous of a head, and there's a little light in there. And it's the size of a grain of sand or a grain of rice. And it has rods, I said last time, rods and cones like our own eyes do. This is the all-seeing eye. This is the part of us that's transcendental to this world. And that's the importance that this time is. It's about being able to connect to the part of you that's immortal, that is fully present here and now. And CSM is so tangible. We're opening DMT in the brain, but not through plant medicine, which is a process. And I've supported that and done that, but that can be very overwhelming to integrate for most people. How do you integrate that the next day? This is something we integrate easily because you're owning it. I'm just teaching you how to open it, how to stabilize it, how to bring it down the body in sacred geometry that stabilizes you. It stabilizes you. It's not, like you said, random, like bang, bang, bang. I've got all this new energy. I don't know how to ground it. It's incredibly sequenced to ground it well. And to do the proper cleansing and steps that follow that up to our bodies, that density that we need to move if we're going to house this body completely and bring that fifth dimensional light and beyond the fifth dimension into the third dimension as our awakened selves. And this is the pressurizing that we're going through to get there.
Yeah, you could feel it. I spent a fair few days after that session thinking, far out, stuff moved. You know, I mean, I live very clean, honestly. And I sleep well, I do things well, but I was like, God, I can feel it moving through my body, toxins. It was like it's releasing what my body was holding. And it's obviously we collect toxins through our daily life and everything, but yeah, it was it was really interesting to observe that and observe how my body works through it and my nervous system. It's like I went into an incubator almost. That's the way I felt. Well, I had just had this. I was fortunate that we were driving to Sydney actually, because I could just be in the car and just sort of just slow down, you know. And now I feel like I'm coming out the other side of that a week later. That incubation where my body's learning almost to, I don't know if programming, like take on the new light or take on the nervous system's adjust. It's like there's an adjustment phase, and now it's at a different space again with what happened. Does that make
Exactly. And
sense?
that's why we do the 9-session sequence, right? It's 3 sessions of the first level a week apart. Boom, boom, boom. So the body
Uh,
can flood
yeah.
and start to integrate. And then the second set of 3 we do as level 2, and that gets sandwiched into level 1 like this. So it's some of the same work that you did, and then it brings in awakening Kundalini, which is very, very powerful. And we wait on that because we don't want to do that when people have a lot of stuff moving, because it's just going to amp it up. And once that body goes through that process, then we start raising more energy into the body from the earth, because this is just not about solar energy. It's about grounding solar energy, right? So we're working with bringing in, that light, and then it's electromagnetic, right? We've got to ground that in magnetic energy, just like your house has a big rod on the outside grounding the electricity of your house. If you did 240 here, like you guys have, we would burn this thing down without the right grounding cord. So it's bumping. And that's what I tell people. We're going from 110 to 240, kind of thing. Or I swap the engine in your car from a Ford to a Ferrari while we're talking. We're moving to a different level, and we have to learn how to work with that. And raising more energy, if we're not aligned, is what we call Kundalini running amok. Or people that are dangerous, they become sorcerers, or they misuse power because they're not aligned. And so it's not just about gaining power, it's about gaining alignment with that power and having the time to integrate. So that's why the sequencing is done, so that you can. And, I mentioned to you, and you can share or not share, what came to me while we were doing your session. That is the next step for you. Like, what is being called for that expansion to complete itself in you? Because you've been talking about it with your work. You feel the expansion coming,
Yeah.
but that you feel like there's stuff holding you in still, or your light's too big to fit in this body, kind of thing. So it's about that. That's the lower chakra work of the cleanses, of going through the bloodline work, the ancestral work, the cellular memory work from childhood, from past lives. And this, I always talk about this age that we're in as the epidemic of past life recall. Because there was these things in the 1800s and all that, people did this or this, thousands of years ago. But right now, everybody's remembering their multidimensionality. And that's because the timelines are converging for us to go beyond all of it, to witness it all. But, it's just the repeating story thousands of years, right? So we're now bringing all that timeline and breaking out of time into the rapidly evolving into the here and now.
Wild. It's wild. Every time I wrap my head around it, it's just wild. I think, wow, this is incredible. It truly is. And if there's one takeaway from the podcast today, or that kind of leaning into when you come back to, are you looking at everything that's happening as an emergency or an emergence, then it really is going to guide the decisions that we take, whether we proactively start to want to embrace the full aspect of our true selves, even that might just seem like a concept at the moment for many and not an experience. But even when it felt like a concept for me, there was something within me that was calling me forward, knowing that there was more before, when it was just a concept. And I listened to that as opposed to suppressed it, And I
Well,
feel like,
that's very powerful. And I think the question that we can leave everybody with is, we are afraid of dying. We're afraid of war. We're afraid of all shortage and dying, death. We're afraid of dying. What needs to die in me in order to emerge? What's wanting to die in me in order to emerge? Because we take that literal meaning of dying and we make that our spiritual initiation. Like, what's the medicine is the other question. What's the medicine to counter what I'm seeing? What's the medicine? Right? And
Exactly.
that's so powerful. A friend of mine was writing about snake venom and how they discovered, the cure for, the snake venom. And it's like matches the energy. It's almost like we have to take on some of the energy in order to supersede it. It's like, what is the medicine that I need that will allow me to, what part of my identity needs to die? That's what we're going through collectively. What part of my identity needs to die for the emergence of my spirit, matching my soul, matching my passion in life, what I'm doing? What needs to be aligned? So to me, that's a good question, What needs to die in order for me to emerge into my next evolution of anchoring us? And this can be asked on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be this profound thing, that's my whole life. It just today, what needs to die in me? And so much of that experience of crystal skull method, when you are in that space of divinity and you're like, I am that I am, then there's not the fear isn't there. The fear just isn't there because I'm already accessing who I really am. The fear just, as I said to you, as we opened that light and you were feeling it blasting out your eyes, like you were feeling it coming through your body as I say to people, when that happens, we had, a woman who was on antidepressants for 2 years come off, 20 years come off after 2 sessions. We have a guy with a hearing aid after 2 sessions dropping his hearing aid. We've had people with hemiplegic migraines, OCD, even every kind of acute and chronic pain. But we don't grapple around, addiction is like, I'm grappling to try to feed myself with something to fill me. And it's the same if the lights were all off in a room and you come in and you're trying to find the door handle and you're banging yourself. But when the light switch is on, you don't grapple for the door. You don't even think about where the door is. It's obvious. And when we're embodied in that light, it's obvious. We're not attached so hard to any person, place, or thing, or the way it has to work out. We are centered in that light and we see everything as it really is. It's very different.
And that, yeah.
It's very,
And the one thing out that come, sorry to jump in, but the one thing that's come out of all of this work for me and what this offers is that once the light is on and the grappling stops, there's a sense of peace within yourself. And then we're not fixating on the non-peace or the pain and the things that are happening, because it's just a different reality. And we tend to then just let that go and focus on more of the emergence of what wants to come through. And for me, that was huge in my life. Huge. It was a game changer.
it is the game changer. And that's the meaning of death, of the ego, right? When somebody dies, they rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. I want that. You can do that now. Just let the identity die. And let the divinity, it's already there. There's nothing to go grab. Crystal skull method is like an ownership process, right? It's just like, well, it's I am that I am. But we can feel it, we can experience it, and it's fast. And it grounds. This is what we need, the grounding of that.
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
What a podcast. And just I want to tell everyone, because you're coming here in November, Australia, to teach the Crystal Skull Method. There'll be a 9-day teacher training. So for anyone listening to this and resonating, come and join us here in Port Macquarie. We will be together.
I know I'm coming because I was walking in the parking lot and I showed you this, right? I found a sticker on
I saw that
of the koala, and that's Port Macquarie, right? Like, I was like, how is this sticker in a parking lot in the middle of Kona, Hawaii, where I'm teaching? And there it was. And it was a good sticker, you know, peeled the back off. So now it's on my phone. I know we're doing.
Well, Port Macquarie is the home of the koala bears. They're everywhere.
But all of you, you know, whatever practices that you're working on, this would only support that. And you'll know if you're called to work with it. But it's just, we are in such a beautiful time. And the deeper you can go into that silence, into that space of eternal peace and access it and claim it as your own and let it guide your life and not your ego and not your grappling. We're going to see the emergence. We are already emerging. I mean, it's so many of us are holding this space together and we are one, you know, there's no other. So when you see, quote, the other that you think is the other, you haven't embraced it yet as part of you. Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So,
what a joy. Thank you so much. I love spending time with you. That was a beautiful podcast, as always.
I can't wait to hug you and your family and your kids and be down under after some years of our world tours there. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Likewise. Thank you, my lovely.
Aloha.
Thank you so much. Much love.